Tuesday. This is Trekland HQ, version 2, and we are live. Peak, P-E-A-K, Star Trek Peaks, P-E-E-K-S. Hey, can all this BTS stem the BS? Today on Trekland Tuesdays Live, number 436. Can you believe it? Hey, it's Dr. Trek Larry Nemechek coming at you here from the heart of Trekland through Portal 47. And yes, the TreklandTreks.com, your customized, unique away mission here in Southern California to up to 4 actual Star Trek location sites. Not studio stages because they're all gone now, the actual sets. But the stages are here, plus all the outdoor locations. How about if you got to visit them in person? Yeah, Vasquez Rock, sure, but so many more. It's spring is coming. It's summer coming right around the bend. Get with me and we will do an amazing, unforgettable, life-changing live tour of the places you like with me as your concierge. That's a Trekland Trek. But here we are. It's Tuesday. And are you ready for some more sanity, clarity, and the big picture in all things Star Trek? It's amazing how when we're complaining about no fresh Trek, we had that taste for a couple of pandemic years and the old business model of streaming where we had to have, where the thought was, the corporate thought was that they had to put out fresh Trek every week over 5 series through the whole year, or else there'd be churn. People would turn off. People would desubscribe from the channel. Well, that business model's been thrown out. I think they're still looking for one that works. And I'm not yelling at Paramount Plus. I'm yelling at the whole industry and led by Netflix. So we'll see what the hell is up next. But those were the days when we had fresh Trek every week. And it felt like, I guess we're having a return to that. Then we went spare the last couple of years. And people like me that wanted to be fresh with people like you were scrambling around to find all kinds of topics, ways to look at what we were still processing, along with the filter of the modern world we live in. Yay. All kinds of things. But here we are back again. I've just noticed back here with the cycle of fresh Trek, and these topics have returned to us. Yeah, so that's, yeah. Some things are new, some things are the same, and we've come full circle, but different circumstances. Larry, you're talking in circles. I know I am. Hang on with me, because first of all, I want to say welcome another Tuesday to everybody. Welcome especially to our new folk. If you're visiting Trekland Tuesdays Live for the first time, you need to know first off, I'm going to be talking. Today's a theme day, so I've got a little soapbox to get on for a while. Then I'll take a micro break, and we will dive into the chat. So I am not ignoring the chat, and you shouldn't ignore the chat either, because that's a real big heart of the show. Everybody has a great time. I had no clue when I started this 9 years ago, nearly in 2017, that the chat would be such a big thing. It's great because it takes some of the load off me, because we have an amazing TTLers community out here. It's around the world because that's why I did it at this time of day. We've got Europe in the evening here hours. The rest of the world is chiming in variously where they are. You'll see when they come in. But I'm just saying, you can sound off in the chat. For one thing, introduce yourself. Or you can lurk. It's totally fine to lurk. But if you feel like piping up and letting us know where you're coming from, is it your first time? How's the weather? How's the trek? How's the, the climate weather-wise and the climate otherwise where you live? We've had the Super Bowl. We've got the Olympics going on now. So there is kind of a global look. There's a global look at the Super Bowl. And I'm glad you're here with us on another Tuesday. So just to know, though, I'm hoping as many folks as possible come in on YouTube. That's the best one, to see all the comments. Twitch does all the comments too, but your Facebook, you only see Facebook's comments. But also, if you're on YouTube, you can, if you feel so motivated, you can throw a little cash my way because we have super chats. You can hit the button and I will prioritize your question above others, but I'll see it when I get to it. Yeah. So jump in here. Oh, and you know what? If you're watching us later, not live on YouTube, that's cool. You can leave a comment in below and keep the conversation going. We've had an increased churn of traffic, speaking of, this time since Academy has premiered. My second opinion reaction shows are getting 3 times the looks they did last time, which was what, third season of Strange New. It's been a huge uptick. Even my lesser viewed ones are double what we were getting during Strange New's third season. So yay. And most of it seems to be real people, which is part of what I'm into today. Thanks everybody for being here with us. Let me get back to this. There's a piece of me that resents feeling like, the sidebar story to what's happening right now in Trek is I resist kind of feeling held captive, feeling held hostage to it for 3 weeks in a row now. I got to say that Starfleet Academy is evolving. I have cautiously, look, it's about any new show. You want to express your views about it. And believe me, people around the world are doing just that. And some of them don't even get a paycheck. That's in dollars anyway. A lot of people are excited. A lot of people hold back because they know this is a new show. People have criticisms. Yes, even shills have criticisms. And it's a new show. You expect no show is perfect out of the gate. You're thrown by the newness. You're thrown by a fresh approach. You're thrown by actors, and then actors reacting as a cast ensemble. Maybe a definitive something in production value, the look, the feel, the art design, the palette, maybe the music, the scores. I mean, there's all kinds of aspects that grab you. And if you have enough of those, ingredients together, then okay, you're thrilled. But you're almost always left wanting, whether it's an error of commission or omission. You remember that? There's always something to yearn for, if not critique. So no, nothing is ever perfect out of the box. And it's anyway, we live in a time when it's funny to watch the reactions of people. And then if you're blessed to be popular enough, you're cursed by attracting the doomsday machines. The greater world's bot troll army, who realize that you're the thing that they can make clicks off of, and somewhere along the way, supposedly, cash, I don't know, drachmas, rubles, whatever it is. And there's a piece of me that resents that. Now, look, I have Second Opinion. If you haven't watched Second Opinion, I was just talking about it. Apparently, you're in the minority. No, it is amazing. Second Opinion's here on my YouTube channel. It's my reaction show about 2 or 3 years into the pandemic, the Kurtzman era. I started doing this rather than trying to use Tuesdays Live for reaction. So it's evolved its own format. We have big things, little things, and favorite lines, just generally the cast and the cast and characters, my questions, all of that. It's a nice little format. I don't go through everything, but I kind of, basically, it's I take it, Second Opinion it's Second Opinion of Dr. Trek, right? We let the dust settle a couple of days on all the first reviews that bust out at 6 a.m. on Thursday morning when the embargo ends, because I like to talk about the show, but also some of the reaction to the show, which at times gets amusing. But I also know then that a lot of the times, well, it's designed to be, if you were sitting next to me as I watched a show for the first time, if you're curious, everybody deserves their own opinions. I'm not elevating mine above, but bringing my years to it, bringing my doctorate to it. If you maybe want to know what it's like to sit next to me during the first watch of a brand new Star Trek, it's basically my reaction top of mind. So no, it's not a really curated review. it's a reaction. And yet it's a little more put together than this. There's a whole industry of reaction videos. I'm sure you've seen them. They tend to be attractive girls. Sometimes it's the scruffiest face guys you've ever seen. You know, they're wearing so much wool you can barely see their face between the beards and the caps. It's so I'm putting, but I do a second pass, but that's it. It's my first thoughts and connections and, you know, big picture thoughts about this show, about the franchise, the things that strike me. And I don't try to follow the herd in a lot of ways. Sometimes you can't help it, but I especially try to share what strikes me as I'm watching an episode. And the second pass, I'm a little more thoughtful, hopefully. But anyway, I still like to think it's something unique. And I know watching everybody, there's so many great review shows that are out and increasing all the time. I do a shout out to Trek Cultures, Ups and Downs, and John and Jessica now at Roddenberry are doing the reactor on Thursday before the Mission Log Live. John was with us a couple of weeks to talk about that. And I'm leaving folks out, the regular review shows that are there, the sincere ones. Lots of folks who are professionally working with one of the news websites, sci-fi geekish websites. They're all doing that kind of thing, along with maybe still text reviews. So I feel like there's plenty of room for everybody, plenty of bandwidth. And I'd like to think that sometimes something I think that I'm the only one thinking about, like Mort calling Orson. I'm reassured to see that it's common out there. But there's pieces from this last episode 105, implications about beyond Sam and beyond the people in the show. The bigger picture, as we say here, about Starfleet, the Federation, about the makers of Cask. And that's just from this episode. But, you know, Nala Ake's life and lifespan and what all these mixed species offspring that we're seeing because of the burn. Just some implications out of that I'm waiting to see if the show gets into, or if they've set something afloat they have no idea about what the ripple effects are going to take this. And maybe the second wave can do that. Second season of their own, or others picking it up and doing that, even just in fan fiction. But that's second opinion. And I enjoy doing that, and I hope you take advantage and check it out. It's here on my YouTube. I always mention it, but sometimes I forget to in the card parade at the end. But Second Opinion with Dr. Trek is there. Saturday or Sunday is when you look for it, not Thursday morning. And I hope you're enjoying that, because I do it a little bit in the blind, but after a day or so to see reaction. And that's why I think it's interesting. Also, by the time Second Opinion comes out on Saturday or Sunday, the bot and troll army online, it's what a great compliment is for them to notice you. You know, it's one thing for them to notice the series at all, but now that the long-range sensors are trained on anything to do with Academy, I think that's also picking up the folks who comment on Academy. So yes, I was just talking. There's apparently on Twitter X, there's a whole string of my basic early reaction to the new episode. So yes, I've got screeners. I've been bad about not getting to the new episode on the first 6. And by the way, the last 4 have dropped now. So you may start seeing people talking about, you know, non-spoilerly guardedly about the last 4. Well, that's way ahead of me. I barely be getting to them the week of, and I have to double up because the cruise is coming and I got to get ahead. But I finally did watch episode 6 that everyone will see Wednesday at midnight, early Thursday morning, whatever, on Thursday. And I'm just overall getting more and more. It was easy to get excited for the Sisko DS9 show, even through all the increasingly less veiled hints coming along. The Klingon show kind of knocked it, kind of sneaked up, wasn't ballyhooed, and yet was just so stunning. Like I said, it grabbed me in the gut, not the brain. And I was like, oh, and why weren't they ballyhooing this? Well, number 6 is going to be the same way. But here's my point today. they've all three been, and I know it's easy to pile on with Sam's show, series M word, no, series acclamation mill, which I'm still waiting for someone to explain what the hell that literally means as a created photonic. But the thing that's really peaked with Series Acquisition Mill, aka the DS9 one or the Sisko one, with the goofy dinner scene, the thing that's really peaked there, and that's what my topic really here is, peak STA, SFA, peaks. Peaks as in peaks behind the scenes. Can the BTS counter the BS? I've been amazed and yet maybe not surprised at the avalanche, the tsunami of appearances that Tawny has been making to start with. But then, of course, then Cirroc. And, you know, Cirroc and Ryan have the seventh rule. And they do their reviews, too. I didn't mean to leave them out of that early wave there. But Cirroc's used to talking. And he wasn't. I remember when Cirroc was not shy, but that wasn't his, you know, he was trained as an actor, but yet he moved on and, you know, had a lot of other things to do and came back around to this. I don't want to say reluctantly, but he's really embraced the legacy of DS9, that it's really kind of picking up the baton for Avery in a lot of ways and been the public face of the Sisko's family, if that makes sense. And all the good of DS9's flavor of Star Trek in macro and micro and macro. And so it's been great to see him. But Tawny's Tawny. And she's so excited by this. She's so excited to add another quiver to her, another arrow to her quiver, another feather to her cap here as a writer. And of course, she's developing the sitcom that I hope makes it through and gets greenlit eventually. It's riding the waves of all the chaos at Paramount right now. And who's running the show, literally. You get the idea that she's going to be an overflowing fountain here. So excited to talk about this. And Cirroc. Now, increasingly, thank God, as the weeks have gone along here, Open Pike Nights and other podcasts that specializes in looking at shows and reviewing them. And they've been getting into developing the Strange New World connection one-on-one with the writers of the show who are comfortable being on and comfortable with, you've got to develop rapport. And they've been great the last year or two about having writers on that week and talking about some of the behind the scenes cool stories. Gang, in the old days, you had to wait 4 or 5, you had to wait at least 2 months. You know, not even Starlog and Communicator magazines back in the day that were on magazine time, when the world ran on magazine time, you know, to get detailed behind the scenes stories, or you waited for the Cinefex magazine once every 4 or 5 years about a movie. You had to wait for your behind the scenes details. So that was part of the revolution of not just doing it, but doing it on a regular basis or getting it out there. And we've gradually gone to where we were trying to do that with Communicator every 2 months, much less at all. Like, let's talk to these people about these things before they die in 50 years or 30 years. Well, we've passed that goal. We're over that goalpost, thank goodness. And increasingly, you know, in the world we have now, we've got instantaneous, you know, forget just message boards and onlines. We got instantaneous video for live, much less quick turnover. So, yes, it's gradually gotten to a point where not just the tech and the expectation, and thank you, pandemic, that people are set to do this on both ways, the givers and the receivers. But also we live in a less paranoid corporate world where, the paranoia of the first season of Discovery in this new age was so stifling. They didn't know they were shooting themselves in the foot by having a comfort play. So finally, it's taken 7-8 years. It took 5-6 years. Pandemic, again, was a great accelerator of this. Get over yourselves. People are hungry for the info. You're trying to promote the shows. People aren't going to sit down in front of a mic and instantly blab the next 20 years worth of plans for Star Trek and spoil it all. That's people can be human. So it was just weird the way the handlers had to finally figure out the system and get a feel for it. It also was a sad moment, but it helped when there was no longer an official behind the scenes vehicle, right? It was sad to see Will's ready room go away. Belt tightening, budget cutting, getting ready for the first of interminable sales, the dance of the new buyers of Paramount. All those kinds of things went into that. So now that there's no longer, much less a podcast officially, there's no longer, and is there still an official podcast? It's coming and going. The corporate budgets determine that, but there's for sure not a ready room with Will. So there's no longer any in-house corporate competition. So we've gotten to a feel-good place where trusted sources, trusted hosts are finding ways, and if not finding ways, at least letting the creatives go on their own channels, on their own Instagram, on their own YouTube. The end result here is that increasingly so, and yeah, on top of that, you've got Academy, which is aimed at a younger audience, who are all savvy with so everyone in professional promotional studio, PR is trying to get them where they live. So yes, TikTok, so Instagram Reels, the online sharing culture is there, and that's adding to what we're getting from the show. So the big picture of this is we are now, between the people involved, the times we live in, the maturation of the new era of Trek now into its going into its 9th year of active, not just production, but of the show's airing, dropping. We're in a time now where we have never had this much capacity. My Lord, from the time that series acquisition mill dropped, I have seen Tawny and Cirroc, but also Noga. I've seen even Alex. They're obviously very proud of the show and what they did, and it has its own saga, and they're delighting in getting you into the details of that. Of course, there will always be many, many more details no one has thought to get to, and that's on my list, and we'll get there sometime. And there's still the overarching series threads that are the season threads that are happening. It's amazing because, again, I'm looking at just the last 3 episodes. The one that you haven't seen yet, number 6, but also 4 and 5 before that. The Klingon show and the Sisko show. And they're different tones. We talked about this as a plus and then an alarming minus with Strange New Worlds. Strange New Worlds trying for the crossover show, amazing. A lot of people were worried that it could be pulled off, as much as or more so than the musical. Both of them mostly pulled off, unless you just hate musicals, well, then you're not going to enjoy it. Although most of the dangers on my list, they basically ticked off to my amazement. Even midway through the show, I said, aha, but what about oh, it's all Western culture musical theater because that's who they communicated with first was Uhura singing her. Yeah, okay. It's not some other, South American or African or Asian culture. It was good old American greatest hits songbook. Okay, fine. That's the style of the... But then we watched season 3 hit where, taking big swings became this got carried away. We'll just say that. And kind of realized that, I think. So this thing about different tones where it was an asset as we watched poor Discovery trying to figure this out. And then Picard being just wrapped up in the Picard stories. And so Strange New getting to be the one that really kind of put this to the test. And doing it so swimmingly for the first 2 seasons, for the most part. So you say that now. You talk about the flavors of the buffet. You talk about the different tones of different episodes being standalone. You don't want it to be the exact opposite of the chapters in a book overarching story You don't want them to be so different that you feel a whipsaw. And yet, I'm using that phrase again for the last two especially. The first three were just expositional. And maybe on second watch, when the whole set is out, they won't feel this way. But the first two were shown together. The third, the Calaga episode. The first two felt like, because Tarima didn't even come in till the second episode, remember? The first two literally felt like they were totally a little bit different. The first had a good old space battle to start you off. The second one was much more softer and romantic. But they still felt almost as a two-parter. The third one felt like, okay, here's the hijinks of the young kids, pretty bodies slamming together in action scenes. And then you had the turn into the heist movie at the end. And it was a little bit of a interesting flavor. I've just felt like these last three have been really cohesive because they weren't having to indulge in quite so much exposition building, right? And at the same time, the fourth was, to me, a delightful surprise. And I get it. And I think a lot of people's heartfelt criticisms or unfamiliarities or unease with the series was just getting over the fact that we're trying to talk 800 years in the future, which, funnily enough, goes both ways. You're either forgetting that it's 800 years in the future and you keep reverting back to Klingon norms or Starfleet norms or Academy norms or whatever. And 800 years, what's happened? The temporal wars. Oh, the burn. Oh, okay. They were in the shreds. The Federation was almost kaput. And they are still building back. So you can't expect norms. And want and need and wealth and piracy have all become factors again. Even though, replicator technology is still there, who's got it? It's still a rebuilding process. And at the same time, because of that, the other half of the coin is people are going, come on, it's supposed to be, I am well aware it's 800 years in the future. Now you got to show me. Why did you jump all the way to the 30 seconds? Why not just make it a 300-year jump, Discovery? Why did you have to say 800 years? Because now you're under pressure to show all these huge, not decades gapped differences, but centuries gapped differences. 80% of a millennium differences. So you've got this whipsaw of remembering to be that far ahead and trying to show it. And that's a tall order. And if there's any critique going on, it's everything surrounding that 800. Yeah. My headcanon about the language is that there's a big nostalgia wave, and they're just looking at everything from 1,000 years earlier, including bubblegum. Everything old is new again. And getting over that, are you remembering it's 800 years, or are you criticizing that it's 800 years? Wherever you are on that is still kind of a driving force and a bar to hold the show to. But having said all of that, the Klingon show came out of nowhere, and I thought was well done for the time. People have been saying, where's the Klingons in the 32nd century? Well, you got that. And a lot of criticisms about, how they were or were not depicted. How can a hunt replace full-on battle? Well, that's what they were stuck with. Pretty much. So, and then the Sisko DS9. So, not quite as much. I think maybe, I don't want to say caught flat-footed on the Klingons. I think everybody has been chomping at the bit. Everybody connected with the show series from Tawny and Cirroc on down. Of course, Carice, everybody connected with the show. That thing about I have to sit on this for a year and a half if I'm a writer. I have to sit on it for a year if I'm an actor or a creative. That all busts loose. We've had a dam break of that. It's been all over. Everybody and their aunt and uncle with a podcast or YouTube show, it feels like, has had access to them. And that's awesome. That's wonderful. That's not going to happen every week, because every week you don't have a Cirroc and a Tawny involved, and a Tawny playing a Dax. So will that happen again this next week? I don't know. It wasn't so much all those Klingon actors proudly, finally, the dam burst on drop day, and everybody posted their group Klingon behind the scenes pictures that weren't, framed for the show. And that was awesome to see. And people putting on having their Klingon applied, a lot of those time lapse, because the studio is doing so much more documenting. And that's the thing. This all starts with the studio. They know they've got to have at least 3 or 4 or 5 cycles of bonus features on whatever the hell the tech is. 9J Pink Ray, 30 years from now, whatever it's going to be, palm hollows of these episodes. So they've got to have bonus features from the future. So they're documenting the hell out of everything right now, scooping it up. And that's good. And some of it, thankfully, does leak out even now, much less all the creators involved with whatever stripe, when it's clear to do so, putting it out. And the bottom line is, as my title this week was, yes, it is peak Star Trek peaks behind the scenes, but will all the BTS counter the BS? I am utterly amazed. Of course, I don't work in cybersecurity, and I don't work in social media trends. Try to follow them. It's just that whole, and again, my loving friends, and I've had discussions online back and forth. Look, I was just at Gallifrey 1. I meant to lead with this. Gallifrey 1 is the big Who con. This was the 36th year for the big, and Doctor Who, like Star Trek, has had its up cycle and its down cycle. Who had its fallow years. And at the Token Trek panel this year, we once again talked about the oddity of when Who is up, Trek's been down. When Trek has been up, Who has been down, or vice versa over the decades. It's odd that way. And yes, I would say that if you who only live your Star Trek online are going to be amazed at this. But in reality, I mean, talk to a vendor at a Comic-Con who has multi-franchise merch. The Trek fandom is the nicest fandom. I know you're laughing at me because of the online world, but that's just to show you the effect of the bots and the trolls. Get out to a real live event. Get yourself, not just a Comic-Con, get yourself to Trek Vegas or any of the actual Trek regional shows. Get yourself to Trek Long Island. If you can still find an all-Trek event, go there. The acidity, the toxicity of online is nowhere to be found. Now, you don't have vapid Stepford fans. People will gladly debate the fine points of anything with you, but it's all done in a loving way, or else you wouldn't be there. People don't spend money on a thing just to go jawbone on it. Now, if you're sitting at home and you're making money off every click, yes, whatever you can rile people up with is going to be good for you. But not in real life, where people are spending their time between making money so they can eat and pay their rent and their passions, or their passions that get their mind off the decidedly insane world right now, or gives them a recharge to go back out there again, live to fight another day. You don't find that at the live events. And even maybe the fandom that competes with Star Trek for the nicest fandom is Who fandom. And not that I'm a huge Who fan. I'm surprised myself at how much I know just from living and walking this earth for these many decades. But as Sean Lyon, who's been the creative head for Who for ages, for Gallifrey 1 in LA for years, told me years ago, Larry, even Who fans have other interests too. And we always have some Trek. There's always at least 2 or 3 Trek panels, usually that I'm part of or I pitched. But talking to, it's a local con, so LA fans get to come out. And it's great because I see the primary Who fans where Star Trek is maybe their number 2. Or maybe it's Who and then they have 2 or 3 others. And since we're on the Trek panel, that's what they're talking about. And once again, you don't get this. Now, you have people that have a critique. Oh, look, they're human. They're not robots that way. I got accused this morning once again of being it's such a joke now. I don't know what's the bigger joke, that Alex gets hired and fired every 3 minutes. That's not as big as it used to be, because people have actually kind of got it in their heads now that his contract is up this fall, September or October. That's actually become a real thing. So Alex Kurtzman getting hired and fired every other week is kind of lost its thing. But I've actually had people since Academy is back on and we're doing Second Opinion and posting about it, or it's a topic that comes through here. You get the bot troll army coming through. I've actually been called the S word just this morning, overnight. Because I said that the show, the new episode 6 coming, I said I was stunned twice. And I was just thinking, I've been waiting to see how I don't want to take away from my Second Opinion, but I've been really waiting to see how 4 and 5 were huge episodes, but in slightly different ways. And one teasingly promoted and the other just out of nowhere. And they both hit. And not the same people, not the same way, but they both really hit. And I think the next one's going to be that way too, in a completely different way. And most of all, in a completely different way that addresses the critiques I see from these, whether they're real people or the bot troll army. One of the go-to complaints I've seen is about, the low stakes. Nothing happens. Nothing's earth-shaking with these kids in college. Well, it gets that way in episode 6, and that's all I'm going to say. But I just shared a basic unspoilerly reaction and got mocked for it. I actually got to be called this. So yay, I've achieved my place in the world this week. I got called the S word by someone with 70 followers who won't put their face or their real name on their account. Check the sources. It made me wonder. I've just seen this avalanche of behind the scenes goodness for Series Acclamation Mill, for the Sam show, for the Sisko Dax Avery DS9 show. I don't know if that'll be the same next week or not, but the tone and the content of the next episode are way different than these kind of joyous surprises or joyous expectations. Is any of this ever going to put a dent in, or is it just ultimately a compliment to Academy? None of this having anything to do with what you think of the series or individual episodes or your favorite, your not so favorite, your favorite, but you still have questions or critiques. That's human interaction. That's good old fan existence. That's good old go to the club meeting, go to your bar, go to the 2 a.m. con room party, talking points. That's what being a fan is about. And you know what? It's hysterical to me that it took 40 or 50 years for this to happen. But that's what happens in sports fandom too. Golly, sharing the thing that you're passionate about, pulling back your trivia knowledge, debating points with other people who are in the same camp. Once again, gang, we're so much more alike than we are different. And yet, we live in the world where somebody's got to have that loud 10% up there, whatever. It's also interesting that as I put that out on Twitter, Blue Sky, Facebook, and Instagram, and Threads is still kind of like the weak sister out there that I remember when I remember it, or something automated happens. And you just put this basic pronouncement of basically kind of a teasing, vague post about episode 6 coming. But it was an honest reaction. And how of all those platforms, it's Twitter X, where the S word came from. I was like, really? Oh, I'm so honored. Because gang, I haven't gone hardcore into trying to line up Portal is what it is. They won't let me have people for an hour to talk about an entire batch. Everything is one-to-one, show-to-show focused. And that's cool. That's a deep dive. But like next week, will there be the same depth? And trends happen over a season. And I like to be able to talk about a whole season at a time. And there's, Lord knows, there's plenty of people out there to promote, to have the hot sauce to get you all ginned up and excited, the preview promo excitement, and then the first day or two after, including having enough threads for second opinion. And I will say that somebody very involved in current Trek, if all goes well, will be our season premiere guest for the Trek Files after our hiatus. We have our penultimate show this week, as I'll tell you, and then we still got to happen. Weird things happen, but our closer or finale for season 14 will be next week. Then we have our 4, 5, 6 week hiatus, and we'll be back hopefully with another huge premiere guest from the right now period. So I'm just throwing it out there, basically to the tune of we're seeing more and more, if not corporate made, corporate allowed, studio allowed interaction, led by the enthusiasm of those involved, led by the Tawnys in this case. A lot of the writers that you saw the last couple of series, Strange New and this one, if that's their bent and if they have a fan base following already, you see them out there. Again, on some of the podcasts that have cultivated this, right? Seventh Rule too. And yay for that. Oh, a Trek movie. Sorry, I'm leaving out Tony and Laurie's podcast, where they've had production folk guests. Gang, this was not the case in 2017. Whether it's been the lack of studio competition with the official shows going away, whatever the reason, I like to think it's also just a comfort zone that finally got here. But I don't know if little voices like mine out here in the wilderness pumping away, let's get this out there faster than every 8 years with a behind the scenes book. Let's get this out there faster. It's what fans want. And gosh, guess what? It's promotion for the show that's not standard, next week on Star Trek. It's a little bit more finesse than that. So yay for all this. Whether it's going to make a dent in the bot troll army, whether it's going to make a dent in the algorithms and the profit drive for those who are so industrialized, so focused on running 18 or 20 different bot accounts at once and getting the engagement because you just can't help yourself. Even when you go and look and you see this is an account from, look, it's something that started last October and they've got 27 followers and they've got a gibberish avatar and a nothing nonsense 2 words and a 6-digit number, and that's their handle. Yeah, even when you go check that out, you can't resist engaging. No matter what I've said for all the years, you got to starve them. You laugh at a bully and you starve a troll. Starve a troll, don't feed a fever. But I did want to take a moment to celebrate that we've got this going. And since I think I've mentioned more of our podcast friends and the family there, I'm leaving people out that I shouldn't be. So bad on me. But I did want to say for different reasons, and part of it's because we're coming up with the big Exploring Trek Sites Hollywood to Vegas return, the return of the Big Geek Nation tour that we haven't done since the 50th in 2016. But my friend Terrace and I are mounting this. We have to get 10, but we have to max at 20. I know, it's a very specific number for the economics of it. This is the week before Vegas, July 30th to the 3rd. I need to have Terrace on some week to talk about it. And we've got actors as guests for different times during that. To promote that and just things in general, the excitement about Academy coming back after having all those fallow weeks off. We just got through a burst of doing podcasts in December, and they're all just now dropping. And it's interesting. So I'm going to do a shout out, a little self-promotion, but I want to promote them too. So 3 different podcasts where I or Terrace and I were guests have dropped just in the last few days. So I just want to do a shout out. For one thing, Bill and Dan, who I've known since they visited continues shoot times back in the day. Here it is in chat. For the first time in 9 years, we did Trek Geeks, and we had some fun with that too. But Terrace and I were both on there, talked about the tour and the fun of doing locations and how it's a different animal to experience. And then, this is thank you, Ed, who's probably in the chat here today. Just had me on boosting the signal. A very long form. These are not so much about what's the hottest Trek of the moment, but a little bit about me, what I do, my crazy life. I forget that there's a whole new generation that hasn't been bored with all this, but some people I'm happy to share. And most of all, just reminding us of, and this is what the Con of Wrath, my documentary, is about, how much things have changed and how much they are still the same, viewed through a Star Trek and a fandom of Star Trek lens. And it's kind of like I was a rerun baby, not there on NBC, and yet I was a second gen fandom baby, but close enough to the first gen to feel like I can talk about it, even though I wasn't experiencing it. And then a very quiet time here with Michael Dismuke's podcast here. I'm going to throw this in here. Continuing Missions. Michael and his co-host, Jim Johnson, who is with Star Trek Adventures, the role-play game, who a lot of you may know that way. And it just happened that these three have all dropped in the last week. And not that I haven't guested on podcasts before. In fact, my original podcast host buddy, Chris Jones, we sat down on a mic for the first time in ages, and I didn't line it up here, but in December, we did kind of a little bit behind the time, but a recap talk about Strange New Season 3, which is always interesting to talk about. And it dropped in December, if you're looking. But Chris is still out there. It's not quite the heady. Life has changed for all of us, and he's got a job that doesn't let him podcast much. But in those early days of what's a podcast and how are you building it, and before anything was YouTubed, the Trek FM network was huge, had up to 12 or 15 different series, and he was hands-on producing them and kind of exhausted. But we got behind the mic for the first time, and now that the Ready Room is back where he can claim it solely, because CBS, they own everything, but he had been the Ready Room for 5 or 6 or 7 years before they went and used that for the show that wound up using Will as a host. So I'm just throwing that out there. It's as much about a signal boost for everybody that was having me on as it is for me. But I do want to get it's if you're curious about the big tour or about what location touring is like. The Trek Geeks episode was great for that. I just want to give them we had this bulge all at once, and these three all are out together, and I just want to give them a shout out. And they're also right now we've got Fresh Trek every week, and the world is focused on that. And a lot of times it's like, well, I'm going to save these things for when there's no Fresh Trek. If you're a podcaster or a YouTuber, you're trying to fill up the time, as you watched me here on Tuesday, you're trying to have something worthwhile to talk about in between the Fresh Treks. And suddenly we went from breathlessly no time to now you've got 10 and 10 weeks a year, 20. That's less than over half the year you're doing something else. Finding other Trek topics those other weeks. So this plethora of topic, even though it feels like the damn bots and trolls are not, I refuse to let them think they're keeping us hostage, because the show is evolving. Academy is evolving right before our eyes. And yes, little critiques, things here and there, the overall tone, if somebody wants to have an issue with the whole subject matter of doing an Academy show, well, you can't stop them. That will always be there. People criticized having DS9 on a space station and not a ship like TNG. And yes, the early knock that I remember about DS9 was, oh, it's the Star Trek that doesn't go anywhere. It just sits there. And that was the big early knock on TNG. And laughing about the runabouts being the little butter dishes. And yeah, see, there was a little bit of a something to that. The writers realized they needed something bigger than runabouts if they were going to have a bigger size scope. And the Defiant came with season 3 and Worf a year later. And yes. So there's a grain of truth in the criticism, but that didn't mean that was all, that the show couldn't do other things. And especially by second season, you saw where DS9 was going and they realized their limitations, but they kind of made that critique, that built-in rough spot in the show format, they made that part of the story. Oh, look, texture, not trivia. I'm pointing over there. The hashtag stack isn't there. Oh, look, it's right here. There's you one. Texture, not trivia. Not having a huge starship at the beginning of DS9 was a choice at the beginning, which did not work with the show as it evolved. And so here comes the Defiant in season 3. There, Starship Pornistas. You got your big ship bigger than a runabout. But the fact that it was written into the story, oh, look, that mistake became part of the flow. The exception that proves the rule, the little bit of comedy amidst the drama, the little bit of drama amidst the comedy. You don't have to have everything poured out of a plastic mold, yada, yada. Anyway, have I stirred anything up today? I hope. Has anybody else noticed how much goodness we're getting from the makers? And a lot of it being just on Tawny being a big fangirl. And Cirroc being so damn proud of how this guy, and it's one of the, it's, I don't know if you put it quite up there on the level of a Trials and Tribulations or a Flashback or a Relics, or a Far Beyond the Stars. That kind of or a Timeless, that kind of, or Inner Mirror Darkly. But it's up there. It's one of those. And if that's peak behind the scenes sharing in the moment, then okay. Just the fact of socials and actors and designers with Instagrams makes sharing a whole different level than it was even 5, 6, 7 years ago. And good on the studio for relaxing the reins and letting them do it when it's safe to do so. And trusting people for taking a ton of shots in 2024 that they have to sit on for a year and a half. The trust factor is there. Everybody plays by the same rule book. It's not 2017 anymore. And that can happen. Whether it makes a difference in the slop we see that passes as criticism, where it's just bare brush 7 words, well, that's dumb, that obviously. So what's even the point? Are we all not savvy enough to know that's obviously, it's just taking up bandwidth? And it tends to take up bandwidth on certain platforms. Will any of this change anything? I don't know. Will any of this change? Not until the season of new shows is over. And the minute there's a week without a fresh episode, all this goes away. Because if it's real humans who want to just harp, and if it's real humans who already a known human who's actually humanly expressing their points of difference, I don't know. I just will say that I think the new episode this week is going to answer some people's legit criticisms of what they might not have appreciated about the show. And it also really points back to, aside from this second screen writing concept of the times right now that I think I want to get into at some point when I can absorb it more fully. Aside from that, the people with just adjusting once again to the 10 episode season versus the 26, and how that played out in one direction with Strange New. It's even playing out here as a first season. Not we're trying to have a puppet show and an animation crossover in year 1. but just the tones of episodes, and how the 10-episode season is a really limited palette compared to 26, even in a first season. When you had a cast of 8 or 9 and everybody got a spotlight show, that meant it took 3 or 4 seasons before you got 3 or 4 spotlights. Everything else being just the blips that passed up in the way, in the flow with everything else. So I don't want to take too much more away from my second opinion this week, but looking overall at what's been going on this week and what struck me this week, once again reinforced by being out with live fans, who 95% of them were not primarily Trek fans, but they were Trek adjacent. And to get exactly the same kind of reaction and the same kind of ha 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 about the loud, noisy, obviously doing what they're going to do, just being annoying. We're so much smarter than we were when we were alarmed that the world was going off the side of the cliff in 2017. And now we've pulled back and realized that's the price of doing business in 2026. That's the price of going online in 2026. I guess so. How is everybody doing? I hope you stick around. I'm going to take a micro break here. I'll come back and look at the chat. But for right now, I say again, if you're watching later on YouTube, jump in. Please comment on anything I've tried to raise here. This will probably not be edited and out. The edited version won't be out until after episode 106 airs. But right now here live, the live version will be up. Feel free to jump into overnight for the next couple of days too, or whenever you get to it. This is all spiked as well, which is kind of amazing. Yeah. And meanwhile, if you're going away right now, once again, did I taunt you? Did I tease you with a Trekland Trek? Get in touch with me, treklandtreks.com, or once again at larrynemichek.com. There's over 50 location sites in greater, and that covers a lot of ground, greater Southern Cal that we can pick from. Of course, always, once again, a huge shout out to all my Patreons. Yeah. That's you in the Trekland Tuesdays Live Club, the TTLers. That's you, Chuck K, James Kerwin, Diana Hopkins, Halbeard Gunn-Johnson, Lawrence Todd, Chris Jiggins, Mitch Keith Rombach, Josh Patton, Pranakasha Productions, J.R. Poole, Comedy Forecast, and Andrew Jazimski, and our live wires. Very simple levels here, gang, but thank you, live wires. Gary Williams, Robert McLean, Byron Bailey, David Gall, MJ Frug, Chris Garris, Brandon Coles, Dave Gregory, Jesse at Crusher Convo, Donna S. Runyon, and Casey Shafsky. Thank you so much for that. If you want to check out my Patreon, again, after all these years, it's very simple. Patreon.com/Trekland Live. $5, $10 for this weekly shout out. I say this every time. I'm going to try to get this done. All of you live wires that I owe you links to Portal 47 early years behind the scenes, folks, I'll try to get that done before the cruise. I'm crunching so much before the cruise, but here we go. And speaking of crunching, I mentioned it already. New Trek Files up today, the penultimate episode, the next to last of season 14. The great Robin Curtis is with us as we start this year's celebration of not just the 60th of the original series and the French, not just the 25th anniversary of Enterprise, not just the 30th anniversary of First Contact, the movie, but it's also the anniversary year. You know, the sixes and the ones years are big for all of this. The 40th anniversary of Star Trek IV. And this week's episode is you've heard them talked about, the actual moments where pregnant Saavik was part of Star Trek IV in the first draft and the second draft of the script. And Robin's there. She'd never seen the actual pages. We had a wonderful time talking about that. And also Saavik's return with that son in the Otoy in Reunification that was a year or so ago. It's a really a wonderful penultimate, next to last episode for the season. I'm really proud of it. We've just barely started to promote it. So spread the word. It's Robin Curtis, Pregnant Savick, Star Trek 4. Happy 40th birthday, Star Trek 4. And happy to everybody. Yes, I'm sticking on Twitter, even though it's as icky as it is. I refuse to call it X. Maybe that'll be some good someday. But on Twitter and Blue Sky, I'm still Larry Nemechek. It's Larry's Trekland on YouTube. Ignore this. It's YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. And yeah, portal47.net. If you enjoy where I'm going and you just really want to dig down and do the dig down deep thing, deep dive, that's what they call it. Hey, everybody, that's going to do it here for us now. If you're with us live, we're about to hit the chat. But please, there's a measles outbreak. Please, yes, stay healthy, do all the things. Please, stay awoke, check the sources, and trek well, everybody. Till next week. Oh, I needed that. How sweet it is. You know how sometimes you just get into a YouTube hole, only instead of like shorts, you're actually watching entire rescued series. And I made the mistake of falling into watch 2 different eras of the Jackie Gleason show. Not the Honeymooners, the real Jackie Gleason show that I remember when I was a little kid that my dad loved. Yeah. From Miami Beach, the entertainment capital of the world, it's the Jackie Gleason Show. Anyway, his tagline was "How sweet it is." Yeah. Every week. Okay, scrolling back. Let's see. Hey, Doralta, you're here with us early this week, both on, oh no, have I lost? I haven't talked that long. Am I losing people already? I can't even, geez. Everybody is here, yay, yay, yay. I saw, hey, Clinton, at 5 of the fields, definitely. Well, looky there. Rose is with us. Yay! Okay. Hey, my figure. Save my reactions till Sunday. This way I have an opportunity to watch the episode a few times. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing. You may even do like a day later than me. Hey, Brian. Thank you for this. I can tell it's going to be an honest human reaction, Brian. So whatever you say. Kind of conflicted about last week's episode. With the showrunner saying that Captain Sisko never came back. One of Avery Brooks's biggie was trying to disprove the stereotype of African-American kids. Yeah, there's a whole interesting thread about how Tawny and Cirroc showed the script to him, and he was concerned about that, and that was he wasn't happy about the finale, the abandonment issue for Black fathers. But they tried to say that he will always be with us. Even 800 years later, he's always with us. And to have his physical son character say he's always with me and he's never left me and reinforcing that. I think that was a bigger concern of that's what Avery kept in mind as the actor who's responsible for the character. Bring it to life after the words on the page. And as we see, words on a page start off one way and they wind up another thing once it's inhabited in reality. Jerry Taylor talks about Janeway all the time, and Kate's like, well, she birthed it and I'm bringing it life. And God forbid that Sir Patrick didn't bring Picard to far more life than it was originally imagined on the page. So you get that. So, I think the rest of us didn't hold that against Sisko all these years or Avery, but that was front of mind for him. and to be able to bring even more richness to the script that way. See, now that's the kind of information that had I known it when I did Second Opinion, I might have gone there too. But good on them for getting that out and sharing all that. We don't have to wait for the Academy book in 3 or 4 years, right? Oh, hey, Matt. Looky there. Well, good for you coming over to Facebook, to YouTube. I appreciate that. You are Trek curious? Okay. I think I lost the first 15 minutes of chat, guys, here. Yeah, the ups and downs are quite awesome. Sean and Trek Culture has made a complete, good on them, because now people know that phrase as a phrase. But I noticed, I didn't watch for years and years because I didn't want to affect what I was doing. But I did notice finally that they run for like an hour 20, like they just go for it. And Scott and I try to, there's times when I would love to go on and on and on and on and on too. And my going on and on and on and on is going to be different than a lot. We overlap a lot, but it's going to be a lot of different than what Sean's getting to, or any other reviewer. And we just decided that an hour, and that's what I noticed. That's what John and Jessica are doing on Mission Log Reactor now. That new format, they're going an hour and 20, hour and 15, maybe an hour and a half. In other words, length is no object, and we're trying to keep Second Opinion to 30 to 45 minutes. So we'll see how well we do on the premieres. When they do 2 hours, that goes out the window. I still compress more than I would. And there's a lot of little things. I have, I'm making my notes as I watch. Every little note doesn't get in. And now we've even slimmed down to not mentioning every single regular recurring character. If they're not featured in the episode and there's not at least one thing to say about it, I don't mention the one little thing. We just move on and save it for the major 4 or 5 characters. So otherwise, I could do an hour and a half easy on first blush. But that's one thing what's one of the parameters of Second Opinion is we're trying to hold it to only 30 to 45 minutes. Yep. I appreciate that, Joel. Thank you very much. I like to think that I'm bringing some issues up, either goofy trivia issues or other long-term looks at the franchise that may be getting lost in the bubble. And this week there were so many feel-good feels and things the creators could bring personally, like these stories about involving, Cirroc and then Avery, and just the process of doing it. That's the domain, and they're the ones. That's who I would interview to get to it anyway. So yay! But then there's also just here's the product and the thoughts from that, and beyond just isn't this cool? It's Sisko and Jake in a new Dax. Okay. And then beyond that, there's implications. It was supposed to be Sam's episode, and there's implications for Sam and the makers on Cask that I get into. That everybody, it's not quite front of mind yet because we're all focusing on the cool, neat feel stuff. But there's some interesting points to be made there, and obviously some backstory that has only slightly been filled in. And that was what was surprising about the Klingon show, that you didn't know what it was going to be about, but then you finally got filled in on the Klingons, much less Jaden's personal saga there. Okay, we're so at capacity that things are flying by. So hi, Captain Calvin. You like how sometimes Rob Picardo is downright having no chill when this one guy starts talking bullshit about the new series. Yeah, Picardo has been amazing on Twitter lately. He has met a lot of the weirdness with the utmost diplomacy. It's like you get exhausted after a while because that's the thing about getting sucked in by a bot. You're just wasting your time. It's not really, now, unless you think people watch third parties reading this conversation, this exchange, are going to be affected, then maybe there's some worth in it. But as far as a one-to-one with the person you're supposedly engaged with, it's pointless. It's just going to be on automatic. And I've seen some things Oh no, YouTube is acting up. Oh no. The Trek Reviewer, hi. Oh, Scott. Hey, Scott. Tell everyone about meeting Carol Selman from Code of Honor Saturday. Yes, everybody. I will save it for more. Can you see this? So there's Carol. Yeah. She played, I'm trying to remember the character. She played the main Ligonian queen of Ligon 2 in Notorious Code of Honor. And it was a blast talking with her. And I'll just go ahead and say it. We're going to get her for a Trek Files to talk about making Code of Honor in the day and her thoughts about it then. Yeah. Yes. It would have been great to have it for February this month, but we'll wait and have that for season 15. I begin to wonder if series acclamation mill means Sam acts as a way for millennials to become acclimated to the series. Well, that's amazing, Clinton. That is awesome. I just think that millennials are too. I mean, a lot of fans are millennials. It's if you're going to use the stupid Gen labels, it's Gen Z and Gen Alpha that would be the target for Sam. But that's really series acclamation. That's really funny because I'm waiting. People say, "Oh, Sam means series acclamation." Okay, now what does series acclamation mill stand for? We had the episode with that as the title, and still don't know exactly what the makers on Cask meant by that. Okay, I've got to do this because by the time I get back to it, the message is gone. I can't unclick it there. All the character beats from Sam seem to be copying Isaac from the Orville. While I love the Kaelon War, I hope Trek doesn't end up copying a show that started out as a parody like fan fiction. Well, the one thing I don't get about the makers is that they're like a huge empire sitting out there like the Kaelon were. I get the feeling they're kind of a small, introspective bunch, not filled with extroverts, because that's why I want to know timeline. Is this relatively new that I keep wanting to say solids, that the organics left them alone and then they developed? Or has this been hundreds of years? Did they leave because of the burn? Was it before the burn? How long has this big experiment, they suddenly decided, I'm stealing my, no, this isn't my second opinion. When did the whole Sam experiment come about? And why? Why now? And again, it had to have been arranged diplomatically or strategically with Starfleet and or the Federation. I said in second opinion. They didn't just drive up to Starfleet Academy and throw Sam out of the car and expect her to go in. I'm being figurative here. But there had to be some ahead of time, and nobody at Starfleet or the Federation, have we even seen a Federation? Has there been a civilian representative? There's finally a mention of the civilian side of the Federation in this episode 6 coming up. But there had to be some awareness that this was a big experiment because Sam is very open. I'm stealing some of my second opinion thunder here. But Sam is very open about what she's doing there. So it's not like it's a secret mission that she's on. She can't reveal it. I'm the emissary, but I am the litmus test for my people to decide whether they want to mix with organics again or not. Everybody's like, oh, okay. It's not a secret. So if it's not a secret among the cadets and it's got to be known to the hierarchy of Starfleet. So, but no one's walking on eggshells about it. It's like she's just left her own devices, and the doctor can shut her down on the hero worship, and nobody's thrown by that anyway. Oh no, people are having chat problems. Oh, sorry, it's glitchy. Sherry, thank you. I appreciate that. I loved how Will could speak to the actors on the level of fellow Trek actor and get past the standard questions? Well, yes. And that's, as you're seeing now, that's part of, if you have someone from the industry, and I mean this all with all love for everybody coming, bringing their gifts for whatever they can do. But if you don't just have, if you have someone who, not even about acting, but about the way the industry works, that's what adds to the power of what they can bring as an interviewer, or just a questioner, just an archivist inventory person who knows the right questions from the angle to ask. Because if you ask unrealistic, well, why didn't, I would have been great if this had happened. And it's like, well, see, that's not going to happen for these 7 economic and logistical reasons. And you might go there and it's instructive to people that also don't know, but you've taken time away from getting to the next level that is ultimately going to be the bigger picture. And I would just, it took me a long time to realize this, but I would humbly say that when I first came out, and forget camera, just audio stuff for books and magazines, having a theater entertainment background and read TV Guide and the making of Star Trek, and then being a fan, and then also a professional journalist, was a nice 3-way punch that helped me get out of the gate and get the trust of people coming from, Oklahoma. Who is this guy? That's what helps. And you saw that happening with Will. It was not so much that Will was an actor himself, but Will was also a fan. See, he's married those two, and he was a fan before he was on Trek. And I have a fan letter for my concordance from 16-year-old Will that I should get out and use for the Trek files sometime. Oh my gosh, the chat's going too far. Oh my God, guys, I'm losing things at the top. I can't get back to it. I'm going to have to click on to save them. Tones in episodes can change from writer to writer and director to director. Sometimes it's unavoidable. Yeah. K Room 11, hi. It is a massive jump. I missed what you're referring to out of the top because the chat's going by crazy. But welcome. Is this your first time with us on Tuesday? I'll say glad to have you there. If you're talking about the tone discussion. Hey, Sydney, good to see you too. Guys, I'm losing so many people. If I stop to talk, I've lost 10 or 15 chat bubbles, and there's no scrolling up. Is that what's goofy with everybody else? But it's just a jump to the left. Yeah. Are some humans not getting their vision corrected in the 31st century since some people eat a paleo diet now? Help me understand. Hey, Zahir, I'd like to think that maybe, see, you've only seen, it's not like a blanket thing, right? You've seen Allah, you've seen Nala, Ake, and you've seen one other poor Cadet Holloway. You've only seen it twice. So it's definitely an individualistic thing. So it's either an enhanced sensor. It's like a mini visor in some capacity, I think. I don't know. Glasses are sexy and they know it. Well, if there's ever a Star Trek concerned with the sexy look, there we go. Oh, for some reason, YouTube eats my answers. Maybe we're having a YouTube issue today. Hey, Willie. Now the chat seems to have died down. Is it self-sabotaging on people? Certain words deemed sweary or threatening are hidden by YouTube. You mean the whole bubble is hidden or just the one word? Episode 5 was great. Yeah. Yep. When you wrote a step to the right, YouTube ate the comment. Huh. Maybe it was. It thought you were being political or something. Oh, look, I've got a non-porn bot. That's always nice. Boom. Oh, a triple DAX photo be available at STLV. Well, have you sounded off on that? That would be kind of amazing. But I think the gentleman that played Curzon in the pilot has died. No. What am I trying to say here? No argument there, Clinton. Yes. Trekland who have crossed over in the comics a few times. Well, there was the one miniseries. But we had a hey Jesse, we had a this is what James Kerwin and I had a panel at Califrey that he mainly led, but I supported. And yes, I got the original use of the actors' names for Claire Raymond's family progression post her cryopod way back in the neutral zone on TNG. We had fun looking at that again. And the MASH names and the Mary Richards and Lou Grant and all of that. Isn't it funny, Narda, how we have to say, I'm really enjoying this show. It's few faults and all. Like, we have to, nobody can just be enthusiastic. We have to specify that I'm not a bozo. I know there's some things that need to be, like, you used to didn't have to qualify your opinion that way. Now you have to have any kind of, credibility. You have to say, no, I'm not just blanketly worshiping the show. It's like, well, no one ever thought that, but now these bozos make us say those kinds of things. Doctor Who is your third favorite franchise, Star Trek and Space Patrol. Space Patrol, wow. Okay, so we've got Narda here representing the Aussies. So we've got 3 continents at least. Hey, Halbjorn, yes, I think I don't want to build it up too much, but I sincerely I gasped twice. And what's amazing is my memories of these reactions don't include the teaser. So if you're looking for tones, the S word, showrunner, no, shill. I guess I was being a little obtuse there, Sherry. He's just a shill. Oh, what? When has that ever stopped anybody? Yes. Do you think the reason Alex Kurtzman is more open is that he knows he's done working with Star Trek? Hey, Trek reviewer. I thought the big question was he would not be renewed, but that doesn't stop them from having Academy for a 3rd season. They just renew the show. His contract as king of Trek, of the franchise runner, would be up, but that has nothing to do with individual shows. And if they need something to bridge over and they don't want to have no fresh Trek for a year or two during this transition, they might renew Academy, even if they, assuming it's not a bomb, and without renewing his own contract. And also whether they even want a franchise runner, if they're going to maybe lean into the movies and they want a new series, but they don't need a whole kingdom of series. Or if they just let people come pitch individually and they have one series on, and that one executive producer for that series isn't needed to oversee other series because they only want one for now. That's a thing too. That's a possibility too. But all of this has been not talked about in public until the Academy premiere. And he said, I am positive he's actually talking. Forget what he's saying. He's actually, the fact that they're actually talking. Maybe I think, oh, well, maybe not. Maybe they renew his contract. Maybe it's not for 8 years, but maybe it's for 2. Maybe he's not renewed, but they want to have Academy back. And they're not going to have a Kingmaker runner. Hey, Jesse, you saw the flood of trolls on X reacting to your post about episode 6. Oh, I, for one, excited to see where the show goes. Been loving Academy so far. Well, how human of you, Jesse Taggart, person who signs your name to your handle. Hey, Steve. Whoa. I lost your thing. Oh, Steve, you weren't bad either. Come on. Constantly amazed at people online who actually believe their opinions, comments, or anything special. They're the S word. I missed the end of your thing because it clicked off too fast, Steve. Oh man, I hope we get to cross paths soon, man. It's been way, way, way too long. Everybody, yes. I mean, you're right, Steve. Dead right. Yeah. From the right now period. Ooh. Oh, talking about a guest for Trek Files. Yes. Things have to happen, but we have our initial, of course, I'd love to do it. So we'll see. And you've been enjoying SFA. Well, you're so bored out there in the outback, Narda. You'd watch anything. Well, of course. Good Lord. They just passed 25 million, 2.5 million views, I think. They had a little promoter thing there. Oh, well, I appreciate that, Captain Calvin. Ignore these clowns. Don't let the clowns get you down either. Yeah. It's kind of, but it's interesting now that when you've got X and Blue Sky side by side, much less X, Blue Sky, Instagram, and Facebook. And you can actually see even Facebook and Instagram, sadly, X is just a very special case. It just is the magnet. But I appreciate that. Thank you. That. And once again, here's the Trek Geeks link. This is Terrace and I talking about the Geek Nation Tours tour and the experience of a tour and how it's something even different than a convention and even different than a cruise. It's a whole different ball of wax, and people sometimes they don't get it till they're there and you go, oh my God. But it's still a community. It's still the people that you're with, and it's still a great way to meet new fans. It's not overwhelming. It's, again, our model is no more than 20 people, no more than one bus. We don't split, have two buses going and all of that. And this is my link with Ed and boosting the signal. I'm very appreciative of that, Ed, who's usually on here. Pedro, we don't say hello, Larry, too often because of that horrible McLean Stevenson sitcom, which now has fallen off the memory well, so I guess it's okay to say it again. It used to be such a joke. Oh, hello, Larry. Yeah. And this is the really thoughtful continuing missions podcast interview I did with Michael Disbuke and Jim Johnson. It's raining, Larry, in podcast land. Yeah. Narda, I was not I knew this intellectually, I guess, but it didn't really hit me until we fell in love with Miss Fisher's Mysteries and the fact that they would go have Christmas. It would be, they would fake snow to try to have a Christmassy feeling. One of their season finales was a Christmas show where it's toasty warm. Or they're having the Christmas in July thing, because that's when they have the snow. Well, Jesse, thank you. You're welcome. I don't know what else it would be on something else. It might be more boring politics, or I will always feel guilty that I didn't teach high school history like I thought about doing. Pedro, you made the mistake of seeing clips from the new episode of Academy you're convinced Tawny Newsome can't write. Well, okay, Pedro. Of course, she co-wrote it with Kirsten, and she's written improv sketches and writing for 10 or 15 years, made a career out of that, and they're trusting her to develop a new sitcom, at least to pitch it. So there's that. Why did Academy have to retcon the ending of DS9? Did they? Did they? I don't know what they said that makes the ending of DS9 any different. You can ignore people who dislike what's going on in Star Trek, but all the people I hear from hate what the franchise has become. I have critiques of a lot of things. I wish Discovery had been allowed to jump to the future and just be there, not try to say they were 10 years before Kirk and Spock. I wish if they're going to go to the future, they hadn't gone 800 years, maybe 300 or 400, maybe still been ahead of the temporal wars. I mean, I wish that someone had realized that visual canon is just as important as concept canon, because I defended the concept canon choices to the death. It's the visual canon that in the Discovery days. So, but there's lots of people who are digging this, and there's a lot of people who are new fans that don't know they're supposed to come to these spaces and report in. Same thing happened with TNG on the original series fans. All of a sudden, by third and fourth season, the show blew up, and they didn't even know that there were older fans they were supposed to be paying attention to. So at some point down the line, at some point you had the paradigm shift of Netflix streaming, and suddenly people who had thought DS9 was a boring, hard to keep up with show said, oh, it's the most modern show of all. So perceptions change over time, and that's all I'm saying. Just trying to be looking at what we've learned over the past and not negating anybody's feelings now. I'm not trying to tell anybody they don't feel right or they're not believing right, but that's all I say. Or, hi, Derek. Yes, what I just said. Derek, is this somehow I feel this is Facebook? Have you been with us under another handle, maybe? Anyway, that's what you. That's kind of what I was thinking, Jesse. Hey, Extra Joy. So I got called. Well, it's a joke. It's like I said, it's like we laugh now about, oh, did you hear Alex got fired and rehired again? It's like that. I tell you what, I haven't gotten a PR box since Prodigy season 2, so season 1. So I think the true shills. No, I'm kidding, because a lot of good friends have gotten those. Sorry you got called the S word. The internet has become so tedious with all the negativity. I know people always complain, but this cycle feels like a new level. Always on yellow alert when on apps. Not bad advice at all. Well, right now, Captain Calvin, YouTube is eating everybody's comments. I don't know what. They literally said Sisko never came back when in the finale he said he would. And that's what Avery had the problem with. And then they said he's really here with us the whole time. Yeah. Texture, baby, texture. Well, Pedro, not just free speech, but that's art. Art affects everybody differently. Well, Chris, you couldn't just telepathy it in? Hey, Narda, there is no Star Trek I hate, even the stuff I don't like. I always find some good in it. Even the Kelvin verse had its good points. Well, it's like, what was the point of the Kelvin verse? In the end, what was the point? Stir the pot, stir it up. Yep, Bob Marley. Very good. This has been a great discussion, Larry. Have you been able to catch up with the chat? What do you mean? Oh, do you mean what I said? Heaven forbid. I think the way the show and the online reaction, and the online reaction is of all spectrums, this is the first week I've said this, I cannot wait to see the reaction of the whole spectrum to this week's episode. I cannot wait. I know it'll be all over the map. They're always all over the map. There's never a mostly unified reaction. Even episode 5 had a. I had problems. There's disconnected part. No episode's a monolith. The 90s girl power movie opening. Somebody finally that watched the shows back in the day had the, what was it? Well, somebody mentioned Clarissa Explains It All, which I was like, oh, I knew Clarissa, but I didn't see that. I'm waiting for the Daria approach. I just want somebody to come in. Na 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 na. Hey, well, my gosh, Ed, yes. I hope everybody checks it out too. And the links are here now in the chat. Well, yeah. I mean, but see, without having him physically there, how are you going to do that? So there you go. Hey, there you go. There you go, Ed. My figure. Boom, boom. Yes. Yes, Joel, he's right. He actually has other guests besides me. Pedro, they had another actress hired. She wanted to hire one of her friends to do the role that she wrote it for, and at the last minute they couldn't do it, and so they just said, you get in there and do it. People write themselves into series all the time. It's a one-off character. Why is this suddenly? I saw people reacting this way. Why is this suddenly a thing? Okay. Rene Echeverria wrote his friend into that turbo lift scene in Trials and Tribulations. They needed an extra scene. He said, oh, I have a friend that could do this. Bang, they did it. Now, he's not an actor, never has been. And if she suddenly wasn't available, they would have got somebody else. But it's a situation that happens. But I've seen people pick up on that. It's like, I don't understand. I hope she has an ego. She's an improviser, actor, and writer. The thing is just and it was at the last minute. And as she said, oh, well, it was cheaper. She might have worked for scale. She might not have taken anything for it, as euphoric as she's been about this episode. Thank you, everybody, for jumping in before I got to it. Pedro, this is a thing that happens at the last minute, and there's no time, and you've got to go to a go-to. You can't risk. It was a large chunk of the show, and you can't risk it on somebody that you don't know. I really don't think it's worth obsessing over. Yeah. I mean, did you really think the episode was going to say he's dead or he's alive? No. With the physical limitations of, are you going to recast? Are you going to recast Sisko? Are you going to have another actor? But Avery is not going to come out of retirement at this point, at whatever age he is, to do it. So are you going to hire another actor to play Sisko? I'm sorry. I had this up. Yeah, I don't know about seeing Isla again, but there you go. Well, Joel, of course, Dax, how many more hosts has Dax had since Ezri? We don't know how many she's had. There's different tones, and you got that with the Jantara. It didn't have to just look like Jadzia, or Ezri for that matter. By the way, what was Doctor Who's Star Trek crossover like when you post on Instagram? Well, we talked about actors, small and large roles over the years, and we didn't include the spin-offs like Torchwood, etc. We just did mainstream Doctor Who, and we had a bunch of actors and with Christina Chong being probably the highest ranked actor now. But also the in jokes back and forth. We had the TARDIS. We had the timey-wimey line for that. We went back. But we went back to the fanzine era and the first fanzine that was written and then ripped off from the woman that did it and sold commercially. She never saw a dime of it, and she reported them to both studios. It was funny. Guys, I don't know what's happening with deleted comments. I don't know what's up with that. You're both YouTube. I don't know what's happening. We'll see. Something weird is going on today. I dragged everybody to YouTube because of reasons. Twitch a lot of people don't have a Twitch account ready to go. Good question. How wonky is YouTube today? And I'm apologizing. Good point, Jesse. I think we all forget that he was conceived as somebody said half prophet. I think the museum voiceover says he's half human. Yeah. What my comment is basically giving 3 reasons why the actress didn't do the role. You mean the original actress, Tawny's friend, that they had originally wanted to do the role or wrote it for? Yes, Tamura. She had a fake name, her Romulan fake name, because she was really a radical Vulcan. Which we should have her come back on and talk about that. Yeah. Measles outbreak vaccination needle, or maybe scroll back needle. Oh, by the way, guy, Christoph, I don't see Cairo on here, but Portal. I'm sorry, I'm reading comments. Portal 47 European midday sessions tomorrow. Everybody, I have to send the letters out for it. Oh, hi, Melanie. You're watching the weather in Japan? Okay. You love Robin. Her first con was the Bash, our now defunct Trek Club. You see, yeah, we talked a little bit about the fandom reaction to Savick and her Savick. Melanie, you go back with me. How sweet it is. Yeah. Oh, that's what you mean. Yes, yes. Got sick, prior commitment came up or rejected, or yeah, something huge came up, but they couldn't knock it off for like 2 days or 3 days of shooting. And that's the other one. And away we go. Dup, dup, da, dup, da, dup, dup, da, dup. Crazy Guggenheim. Wow, Melanie, you're just a font of Jackie Gleason knowledge here. From Miami Beach, the sun and fun capital of the world, we bring you ding. And the models in the gowns leaning on the velvet backdrops with Purina dog chow. Yeah, see, this is Honeymooners. Honeymooners was before my time. I know it was classic. I've seen the reruns. I know the blah, blah, blah. I'm just saying, as a kid, my memory of Jackie Gleason is the Jackie Gleason show. And then they brought the second edition of the Honeymooners, the sketches back, where it was Alice was recast. It wasn't Audrey. It was not Audrey Meadows. It was, I'm mixing them up now. Okay, well, Um, yeah, not Cadet Alice. Oh yeah, Cadet Alice wouldn't take that. Okay, well, maybe someday we'll figure out what the hell's going on with YouTube today. Yes. In fact, the interesting thing was that Alex had wanted episode 5 would be Sam's episode and involve a legacy character, and it was Tawny that campaigned for Sisko. Well, again, Pedro, I don't think they've rewritten anything. And that's what's been interesting, Chris. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. For Pacific, 10 minutes from now, get out of the way of the family. And Seventh Rule starts at 5 or 6 on YouTube. Yep. Busy Tuesday. Busy Tuesday. Why were there so many extreme close-ups of the hologram character? I didn't notice anything more extreme close-up for her than anything else. Oh yeah, doesn't Cirroc bring that up on Seventh Rule at times? There you go, Chris. Did I mention the transporter room? I don't think I mentioned the transporter room when I was talking about the plethora of great shows talking background interviews. There you go. You got a fan there, Chris. Well, thank you. Well, the notebook and the typewriter. Yeah. Well, there were pieces in the museum at the Experience at Vegas that weren't actual show props. They weren't screen used because like Nomad was in the museum and it wasn't the Nomad that Jimmy Rugg built for TOS. That was probably decobbled ages ago. Not sure what you're referring to here, Pedro. You guys are talking about this guy. I have no idea what you're referring to. Thank you, Yarina. Thank you, Joel. I mean, Deralta. Yes. Yeah, I know there's actual real humans on there sometimes, and I do it just for that because it was used to be my biggest count, 12,000, but probably at least half or more of that is probably completely fake accounts. Well, okay, you can be forgiven. I thought it was a stupid story, a fight to the death over the women thing. It was trying to be, it was trying to be feral and raw, but it didn't go there. It was too clunkily 1987 to do that. Nobody sweated. They should have done it outdoors, and they shouldn't have with the whole. If they'd done it with the original reptilian aliens, they decided was too expensive and unproducible with their tech at the time. But then you'd go, ooh, so a reptilian alien wanted Tasha? Okay, yay, diversity, but at the time it would have felt a little odd because they didn't know each other. Now you look at the cross species, but they're all humanoid, bipedal, and have known each other for centuries. The cultures have known, Okay. I didn't know she had an interview somewhere else. I'll have to go find this then. Well, hi, Shelley. That's a question. And welcome here. Really? First time, maybe? It doesn't matter. It's good to see you. Thanks for jumping in. And that's a thing. Of course, that was 800 years ago as well. Lots happens. Lots can evolve and split off and everything. Yeah. No, Tachyon Pulse had one lucky thing years ago and has kind of lived off of that. Kind of cloyingly annoying, but it's a free internet. Yeah, that we know very little about. This whole thing is very still unexplained. Oh, Trek Yards raid. Hey, yes, I did change my YouTube name, handle, and profile pic. Now that Super Sentai is taking a long break. Power Ranger Donnie. Got it. Doesn't series acclamation mill spell Sam? Yes. That was each of these early episodes are focusing on different characters. It's kind of their episode. Like Jaden's was the one before. You're allowed a little team promotion there, celebration. Of course you are. And it would be weird to. I remember coming from a time when Trek and sci-fi fandom, coined that term "sports ball" to be derisive. It was kind of in self-defense, I think, because sports fan, it's like we are all fans. Yes, we are all different. Yep. Oh, really? How do we know that Eros isn't a character that Picardo's made up? It's his dueling partner. Is that it? Hey, Melanie, you're guessing the burn happened in the third. Well, they have a year for it. It was 120 years before the arrival of in 3189 or something, 3190. So everybody says 3069. I think that's yeah. And Braxton from the 29th century never mentioned it. No, they very carefully had the burn after the temporal wars. The temporal wars happened first. Right. It's future tense, I think. Hi, Sydney. I don't know right off the top of my head. That's cool. Okay. What are you saying? The strange things about YouTube. One answers and the message is deleted, and we don't know why. Oh. Pet Rock 01. Hopefully not meta glasses. Are you I don't know what you're reacting to, but you new person with us on Tuesday. Yay. Or are you part of the Trek Yards raid? Pre-cruise show, maybe. Get Father in Taylor at least, Chris Garris. So you guys come over from Trek Yards. Wait. Oh, forget it. The Trek Yards gang are going to enjoy next week's episode. I'll say that too. Oh, the glasses. Oh, now I'm with you. Duh. We were talking about yeah. Well, hopefully Meta, the corporation, is long gone and buried, just like that stockbroker's concerns from Neutral Zone. 300 years in the future, much less 1,000 years in the future. Not defensive, but protective. Well, he's engaging. He could just be ignoring. Oh, okay. Yes, the first column is character names. More people are allergic to Retinax 5. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, Space Patrol, the German show. I was thinking the 50s sci fi black and white live show. Space Patrol. Wow, my mic has been turned around backwards this whole time. Last week's episode was a huge surprise. Can't wait for this week's episode. They're not going to continue with the retcons into episode 6 as well. What do you mean by retcons? Okay, Sean, you jumped in there and looked it up. There you go. There you go. Eros Clown called me a shill. Is that the guy on Twitter? Is that him? Oh, okay. Yeah, John Glover. I was going to say, whoa, Donald Glover was not a Max. Well, Russell T. Davies and Alex Kurtzman famously had a panel at Comic-Con a year ago that we referred to also and had a couple of slides to that got a lot of people excited, and they teased maybe something big, and it turned out to be a game crossover. I think between Who and Lower Decks. Somebody catch me. To be fair to RTD, can't be someone from the Who world. Okay. You love this video. Oh, you're welcome, Rose. You are welcome. You're welcome. Okay, well, now we're cataloging every single potential iteration of a Dax, whatever. In the sweet by and by, we shall chill on that beautiful. No, that's funny. Let's just chill and not be shills. Okay. Yeah, I think the name of their show is Star Trek and Chill, not Star Trek and Chill. That's pretty funny. Has anybody poked Ryan about the late week show, the Friday show? Clinton, no, nobody wanted this show. It was so obvious, and then the fact that Akiva is a producer with network contacts, and he stands on stage at San Diego and says, "No, let's all write in about year one." People are like going, "No." If you're going to talk to the activist part of fandom and online, they're going to go for Legacy first, and then maybe United with Archer second, or even no one cares about having more characters we've already seen recast. Can we please go somewhere new? Shill, Melanie. Yeah. Blue Cry. I do my Trek on them, and I look. But the fact that you've got, even for Twitter, you've got little terms there that are derisive terms that I've never heard of for either one, as extreme as they are apart from each other. That's saying something. Well, Melanie, thank you for this history lesson, even though it's cutting off here as I do this. Yeah. Well, lots of people on MASH left MASH to do a show. But yes, McLean Stevenson. The McLean Stevenson Show. I think they should have called it that instead of Hello, Larry. It's good. I didn't think so, Nard. Now I'm just teasing. Oh, cool. Jesse, well, the door's open. If you're coming, for a day, that's what the Trekland Treks are about when you're here on vacation. Albert Burge, love you. Oh, well, Albert, I love you back, man. Are you this first time here? Jumping in? That's kind of what I thought, Duralta. Yeah. Well, hey, Power Ranger. Well, retcons are just reacting and evolving, and sometimes you need a retcon because there's a conflict within the given. O'Brien's Pip is one thing, rank, but then O'Brien and Setlick 3, there's two different distinct stories that have to be smoothed together. Yeah, member berries is just, if it's a universe, if they were worth having as characters in situations once before, if it's legit, that's why I didn't get the pushback about Picard season 3 being member berries. And I'm not talking about being swept up in nostalgia love. I'm like, if you enjoyed the characters when they're young, are you going to be ageist and not enjoy them as characters when they're older? That's just ageist. I don't get it. Yes, and we have never actually had a real conversation. I'm so overdue to talk to her. I should teach classes. Well, Ma, who is going to pay for that? Who's going to pay for classes? I mean, that's kind of what Portal 47 is trying to be. Well, basically, Pedro, the idea here was they wanted Sam to learn from the past from somebody. And because Avery has withdrawn from acting and performing, not even as part of the DS9, documentary 8 years ago, 9 years ago, she felt like he had been left out of all the re-examination and celebration of the middle years. So she thought he had been left out. And so that's kind of why her case won out, is to have Sisko be, but then there's limitations on that. If you're not going to have him play him, how do you feature an episode on Sisko and his legacy without having Avery involved? And the episode you saw is, and then get into it and find out he had a concern about the finale and how, so that's yeah. Oh, retcon what? Well, Melanie, there was the episode of Lower Decks where you had Quark still there. Of course, Quark has got a licensed empire. If you saw my second opinion, you got that. Quark's corporation and licensees have survived the temporal wars and the burn, and they're sitting right there. There's a Quark's right there in 3094 San Francisco. There's an old saying, friction happens. Okay. Yes, you and a million other people, Shelley. Sometimes they get a little carried away with themselves. Oh, okay, Pet Rock, you're over here. Okay. Oh, okay. Well, the snow is on the other side, I guess, then. Okay, Rose. Good night, Rose. Sam Beckett never returned home. What's the shale reference, guys? I'm missing it. Sydney did a Trek tour with me. We could go to different places, but we did a basics. Hey, Trek Exploration. Loved SFA 105. I'm missing some of your threads, guys. Oh, talking about Quantum Leap. Okay. This is true, Melanie. This is true. Fortunately, I don't think the vast majority would agree there. Yes. So it's fun. You thought it was fun? Ooh, I was chilled. We're talking about Academy, right? Not some other series. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna let you guys have your Quantum Leap old and new. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're standing on my neck. Well, you know, Pedro, maybe there were like limitations that you're not aware of that may come out eventually. It had a huge evolution and a lot of things hinged. Yes, indeed. Okay, Albie, that's you. That's you. Usually you running the account, right? Okay, I didn't want to say. I guess I could have said who's running. Who is that for Trek Exploration? Who also had me on recently, once or twice in some great in December, right? Yes, yes, yes. Oh, gotta plug in the old girl here. Okay. I ask a question in Second Opinion, and I'm not sure if this is the first time that a person had a credit in an episode as a producer, as a writer, and as an actor. All three. We've had actors who got producer credits, like Sinequa. And I'm trying to think if we've had actors who had, well, obviously we had producer writers all the time, but with separate. But I don't know if we've had an actor. How many actors have had a writing credit, even as a story by? Maybe across all the new episodes, but to have all three together in one in an episode, I didn't know if that was historic. Yeah. Sisko as a prophet has possibilities. They could definitely have hired another actor sending Sisko down the Michael Long. See, then you would have had people yelling, "Why didn't you have? Don't have us! It's too soon to have a recast Sisko." Unless it's like young appearing the way Guinan was, but then you had Whoopi and young Guinan actress. I forgot her name. I know. Now you'll have to resist this call. And Isla is a faculty professor. So it's not like she was just like passing through. Well, of course she has an ego. She's an improviser and an actress learning writing, but she's well aware that script writing is a new muscle to train, and she's been pretty humble about it and very exciting. And she had Kirsten as the co-writer. I don't know about being first, last, or middle, about saying she has an ego. I'd seen people blasting that don't understand the situation as usual, but just going there with a sledgehammer for your first take out of the box is that's just off-putting. You know, you can ask questions, but to just get people people in reviewing who have assume and a sledgehammer, and that's their whole modus operandi. It's like, what, you leave yourself no, you leave yourself no wiggle room as you learn more information. If you have to do something, it's like I have to record mine when I do, and even more, a couple of days of info comes out. Well, you're not alone. Lots of people have. This would be a thing, Jess. See, there you go. The Lanthanites, the Dax host walking, a Dax symbiont talking through a host. Yep. Yeah. I'm not sure that would be something to track. Go back and get the filming dates, look at the writing timeline, and then try to see. And you would have to go to Ron Surma might know. Talking about this. Right now, everything's not good with YouTube. Okay. Well, again, Zahir, from what I understand, Alex wanted the episode 5 that Sam's wanted her to be studying a historical figure, a legacy Trek character. And once they said we need a historical Trek character to be the focus of Sam's episode, then Tawny stood up and said, Sisko has been ignored in all Trek since. Everybody else has been celebrated somehow. Picard got a series. Janeway's on Prodigy. You can't stop honoring Kirk. Kirk, they're all being inhabited again on Strange New World. The only one of the, even Archer got some, now we haven't seen Scott, but even the Archer crew got love on Strange New, but the only show that's been not mentioned from, especially in the Sisko way, is Avery and Sisko. And so she won her case to fill that slot. And then so when they went, well, how do we hook in Sisko and the Sam? And I'm sure that's where they said, well, we can say, and I don't know how much, my other question would be how much backstory for Sam was developed before this show. This whole thing about she was on a mission as the emissary and she has to report in like Mork to Orson. And how much of that was there before this, or how much of going with Sisko drove this emissary thing, and that drove the backstory for her. That's a question I'd want to know. Well, not in 2026. Yeah. Oh, you can totally. If he's way younger, you can. Again, I think if you pull a Guinan, or if you pull a original series entire cast thing, just we do it better than what they did on all good actors, but as far as matching, okay, and I don't mean the first three, Anson and the first three, but I mean since then. Hi, ADHD Flows. This is your first time in with us, I think, since coming over from my thread. Maybe they should craft Packlet's acting parts. Oh. I don't know. I've not heard of Odyssey. Is Odyssey another video platform? This is, Deralta, this is what they used to say about recasting Kirk and Spock. Yeah. And I don't mean Strange New, I mean 09. At this point, and because Avery's been such an enigma the last few years, yeah, maybe not. Hi, Wanda, and you're weighing in on the, there you go. Yeah, the variety show, Melanie. And see, you're old enough to remember both ways. I shouldn't have said the O word, should I? Okay, recasting. Extreme. Okay. Modern cameras shoot at 8K, but they're mastered in 4K, so you can pull up with the. That's like they shot a few of the TV episodes. That Journey to Babel banquet scene is kind of this, only dumbed down. 64 millimeter versus 16. I'm trying to think what the did. Okay. This is what's always the case. This is where you got to when stations wanted more Star Trek episodes, but you were doing the movies and the original cast was aging. So Next Generation they didn't recast the parts. It was too soon. So you went with 80 years in the future, or 100 years in the future. Yeah, that was a special reveal. They wanted to be a surprise. He told me last time we were together in San Francisco. I guess that's the last time I saw him live. Yeah, everybody who gets a new toy overuses it first. Absolutely. Oh, Wanda, what do you mean you're not having it? You think the episode puts the proper end of the story and a nice closure to this goes, oh, okay. You're not having the criticism that you enjoyed it? Okay. My detractors would disagree. Oh, Pedro, I'm not big enough to have detractors. I have one-off yahoos who cross my path at times. I'm just in a big club. Like I said, it's a compliment. But thank you for that. I have to catch up on this then. Okay. Oh, thank you, Doralta. The person who dubs Jaden in German also streams on Twitch. Vincent Fallow. Is he native German? Is that a native German name? Okay. Now I'm being culturist. Hi, Dave. Yay. Yeah, except they're 800 years earlier. But then do holograms not die? This, Chris, I said this in Second Opinion. That was a really abrupt moment there. Generically. And then he seemed to react very abruptly when Sam mentioned Princess Gwendala or Ambassador Gwendala. And I'm like, are they going to retcon an ending for Prodigy, which will be sad? But then they'll do it with so much time to go. I think people will love episode 6, especially those who say that the stakes haven't been high enough. EMH has the Dracula Highlander tragedy. Everyone he knows dies. Who wants to? Yeah. I'm going to watch for your answer. No relation other than we know roughly when they happen. That's all. And that the temporal wars were just right before the burn. Well, that's quite a range of folks there, Donnie. It's a big kind of a leap there between Robert and Terry. Or Kevin. Doesn't he have enough? Kevin Feige, doesn't he have enough to do? There you go. Crossover was between Doctor Who mobile game and Lower Decks the Badgie Directive mobile game. There you go. Curse Year One? You didn't like the first season of Lower Decks? Or is that because they killed off Hemmer? Is that it? Okay. Who's left? Aren't you all over in the Trek family here or whatever? Yeah. It was an alien baby at the wrong alien kid, the wrong place, the wrong time, because he was on the dilithium planet. And his scream was the right frequency to disrupt dilithium across an entire galaxy, not just local space, the entire far reaches of the beta, delta, and gamma quadrants. Yeah, it was kind of hazy. It just always hit me as the right, not wrong place at the wrong time. And apparently for most people too, Donnie. Who hates blue sky? It's sheep. It's people say it's like Twitter from 2010. Nardi, it's not so much to me that I don't want to touch the old characters. I'm just looking at all the possibilities that it's like, why retread when you got all this to explore and flesh out? And anyway, I don't want to keep going back over the same old ground. Oh my gosh, look how late we are. I know I started late. This is crazy, guys. X will always be Twitter to us. Yeah. I stayed in Twitter. It's never, this was the most personally noxious time. I post all the time on. Why now? Because I hashtag SFA, I am sure. The guy Walter Radar O'Reilly of MASH apparently got a spinoff called Radar. I hadn't seen it. Did you? If he did, it probably didn't last very long. I don't remember Radar having a spinoff. Well, yeah. The thing is, Pedro, I don't think most people are faulting her at all. Lower Decks is about 3 or 4 years after Voyager's return. So yes, it's still very much in the TNG DS9 Voyager era. And then Prodigy's about 3 or 4 years after that. And Prodigy's is overlapping the awareness of the Romulan sun going supernova. It's still melting down for you. Okay. Sorry, guys. Oh, I think a lot of people did. But I thought you mentioned just year one. All righty. The guest list is getting incredible. You've even got me on already instead of waiting till the last second. Liebchen, my goodness, it's been a while. What a normal thing to say. You can see what's wrong as much as you're also enjoying it while you're enjoying it. Was Chris Rios killed off? I thought he got to live at the mariachi. Yeah. Oh, of course, Quantum Leap podcast. You're enjoying all the Quantum Leap chat. Oh, okay, Donnie. Well, there you go. It's the last couple months have been a lot. So, yes. Sci-fi for me has been very vocal about not liking Academy, I think also. And that's actually a real person with a real face as opposed to a lot of the hidden toxic tubers. Dum, dum, dum. Oh, hey, Dan, you're popping in now. Yes. I didn't think about so much about the music, but I think you are. That's probably why I didn't notice it, because it was good support. See, Shatner and Nimoy only had writing credits in the movies, and I'm talking about TV episodes. Brent only had a writing credit for the story on Nemesis. Patrick, I don't know if he ever had a story credit on anything, even a movie. Could be wrong. Patrick directed some. And they didn't, in those days, didn't do the, here's another thing. We won't raise your salary, but we'll give you a executive producer credit to the leads. That didn't exist in the TNG days. Now, he's executive producer on Picard, but I still don't think I don't think either one of them have a credit on Picard. I could be wrong, but I didn't remember either one of them having a writing credit on Picard. Patrick was an executive producer and actor. That's two. There you go. You're welcome. Thank you. I could have stopped and looked it up. I just knew somebody else would do it. Hey, exponents. Not sure. Good, Mr. Just want to say that I thought my second opinion was very fair. When the live feed ends, I go back. Oh, you're very welcome. Exponents 2046. Whoever that might be, but good to see another new name on. I think new, maybe, whatever. But thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying Second Opinion. Okay, by Donnie. You talking about yeah, she's a, yes, I point that out too. She's a Trill Cardassian hybrid. Yeah. And the Trill part was a surprise, so you wouldn't even think that. Not that anybody was going to go there. It was just amazing to say that, yeah. Yeah, Dax was 300 at the Curzon handoff to Jadzia. So now Dax would be 1100. And a lot of people go, oh, Bix was 800 and they said it was near the end of the lifespan. I'm like, well, it was the end of his lifespan, its lifespan. But Dax has to be really, really old. But then they've obviously kept up with it. And you're just proving my point, Wanda. So here you go. Now Cirroc and Tawny are on Sci-Fi Sisters. There you go. That's who they wanted to play Berlinghoff Rasmussen at first. Yes. And see, everybody knows because of Hook, he couldn't do it. Mm-hmm. Oh, it would have been off the charts crazy. Yeah, that's why Rick's, it's like the executive producer, that's his first writing credit ever, was for that episode. And it was kind of like lending it some panache that the executive producer was writing this. So it, yeah. I have no memory of this even being there and being a bomb. Wow. Okay. After MASH, yes. Hello, Larry, yes. Different character, of course. Yeah, Melanie, that was also the big scandal that was covered up in Equilibrium before Esri's change. That's what I talk about this on Second Opinion, which is something nobody was talking about. I mean, it's the first thing, one of the many things that hit me that I wanted to include in my Second Opinion, and I've seen nobody talk about it. So they yell about the length of lifespan for Dax, but they don't go into that part of it. So apparently now the secret is well out that actually half of Trill population, not just 10%, and now that mixed species offspring can too. What do you mean, Pedro? They've been remaking TOS all along here as Strange New Worlds runs along. It'd just be silly. Just go do something else new in another corner of the Trek universe. Why do we have to say everything like the exact scripts redone? That's silly. Ooh, you think so? Okay. Because they went there in a few ways to the, yeah. What do they always say? Got adult ratings, this and that. Is that what you're saying? Hey, Darren. It's been a while. I can't say I'm a huge fan of any new Trek, but the Sisko episode was done very respectfully. Well, there you go. Hi, Darren. Glad you bopped by through too. Any good words of wisdom to get through the rest of the week? You know, I have that daily Will Rogers. Do you want me to see if I can find that? Let me see here. Daily Dose of Will Rogers is a thing I subscribe to. I'm just like, if you ever accept anything, don't do so with an excuse, because if you ever start in alibying, it means you'll have to keep it up. There is something about a Republican politician. They are smart, but they just don't know much. It costs 10 times more to govern us than it used to, and we are not governed 1/10 as good. I think that's more on the people factor. Yeah, those old bumper stickers about Will Rogers never met Nixon. Yeah. Sure, we'll unite fans like episode 5 and everyone will be happy at fandom. I don't know about that. Oh, okay. So the Michael Long, yeah, that's Star Trek's not going to work that way for major characters, for leads. I'm sure it's been said 1 million times that with all the potential untied story endings in Star Trek, the upset baby was a terrible burn reason. Yes. And if you notice, that was season 3, the original, yeah, and 4 and 5 were a little more nuanced and started drawing on, yeah. I wish you, I'm trying to get, you should listen to the Trek Files with Carlos Sisko, who was on the Discovery writing staff and climbed the ladder from assistant. There you go. What? Don't retread. Yes. Why? There's so much more to get to. Why retread when everything else is screaming to be filled in? Oh, sorry, Melanie. Sorry. There you go. Aftermath. Yes. Still want to see a movie that features characters from all the TV shows. Avery probably would decide not to be in them, but you could, yeah. Well, you use the multiverse wheel from Lower Decks. Put that in real life. Love for Aftermath, sadly. with Rosalind Chow playing. What was Klinger's wife's name? What was Rosalind Chow's character? Well, I want to say Soon Lee, but I don't know where that came from. Well, there you go, Pedro. Did the Q decide to let the burn happen, or are they all killed off in that future? Good question. What about the Q during the temporal wars? Poor Christoph, you need to get to sleep. Yeah. We'll see you tomorrow, Christoph, for European Midday Portal 47. Yes, Trapper John MD was a spinoff, but the character had nothing to do with MASH. It was just the same random character, and the further it was a different actor. You know what? What's his name that played original Trapper John had a show briefly. It was set in the 20s. I can see him looking piece of the action, dapper fedora. Wouldn't get angry. So here's the thing, Pedro. You're obviously a real person here. Yeah. Okay. Most of your trolls, what? Don't ever show their faces so you know what you have to say is legit compared to this kind of stuff. BFF, Toby, what's been your main takeaway from Academy so far? 6 episodes in. Oh, hi, Toby. Beyond the Final Frontier. Takeaway from Academy so far, 6 eps in. It seems to be, of the new series, the most organically together, or at least tied with Strange New, and it still leaves, there's so much to fill in post-burn between the individual characters and the fact a lot of them are cross-species, and all the info of the world of the post-burn world, and the disparities that allow things like pirates and like rich guys, because we have rich guy's son in the cadets, the things that allow the cadets to all come from interesting backgrounds. You have the extreme poverty that yielded Caleb and yielded pirates like Noose Braca and others, like filling in all that worlding. I'm waiting to see, but so far I've been intrigued to keep watching, even if I kind of go at the token college-y hijinks, but I think that's settling in really quickly. That wasn't a main takeaway, was it? Main takeaway was that I think it's, despite it must be doing well, because the bot troll world got on its radar. It got on their radar. People that could care less about Star Trek a year ago and probably won't care a year from now, but they feel like they can gin up hits and views and clicks. So it's made me want to keep watching and watch them flesh out this century way better than the end of Discovery did after mid-course correction. But I'm glad you're here, Toby. Beyond the Final Frontier. Yes, sir. Way older. Because he was conceived in the 24th century, created in 24th century, and Dax was 300 years old by then. That would be cool. And apparently, if you saw Sam's, when they're inside it, there are planetary settings, and Hirogen Prime and Kazon Prime were 2 of the planets in there. Again, things I got to in Second Opinion that no one's talking about. I know. It's called 800. Once again, it's called 800 years in the future. And you had one that was at least 800. Yeah. Okay, Pedro, there you go. I just remember that was unusual and that they did that as part of the attract will thing. But you're absolutely right.
And thank God it was something easy enough to find out that I was spreading bad info, which I usually don't. I try not to jump off and sound definitive about things. The tea drinking XO of DS9 in the books, I wouldn't know. It's like sweeps month. Yes, that's a way to say it. Adult. That's what I was trying to say with forget the low stakes. And yes, you're right. Adult doesn't necessarily make good contact. I'm just saying, there we go. Is this has been? Okay. Yeah, that was Scott doing that during the pandemic, and they did all the original series. They may have done the original movies, but the point was to do the original series and end it there. So, hi, DM viewing. Are you coming over from somebody else's handle or account? Otherwise, welcome, welcome. We've had several maybe new. My memory is not hazing out on me. I don't know, Duralta. I have not got to dissect that yet. There you go. House calls. Okay. Well, you weren't the only one, Ma. Sure, the vault have everyone's addresses. I wonder if they continued evolving. Okay, gang. Look, this has been a lot of fun. What we did, we got off onto Quantum Leap. We got off onto everything else. I think a lot of new people are here. That's awesome. But otherwise, I think that's going to wrap us up. Listen, again, I let me see. Can I do this? If you are curious about this big tour, let me direct you over to one more time to the new Trek Geeks episode that was live at one point, and that's the redo of it. And otherwise, let me point out, and actually, there's been a couple more, so apologies here. I don't have my last one or two with. Oh, huh? Try reloading the. Oh, really? Well, I just lost that. What happened? There we go. Just lost my whole chat record. It'll be in YouTube though, maybe, hopefully. This is boosting signal there with Ed, and this is a very interesting one I did with Michael Dismuke and Jim Johnson there. Just one more time, gang. And again, once again, as we say, if you are interested, there's the thing, treklandtreks.com for a locations tour. It's something like you've never experienced, and I will do my best to fill you in as well as concierge you and help you navigate LA traffic the day we have all pre-planned this already. Also, the Trek Files is up once again on Tuesday, our next to last show of season 14 with the incredible Robin Curtis and the actual lost pages and scene of Pregnant Savick from the early first two drafts of Star Trek 4, both of them. And you can see it going away. Awesome. Love this episode. We talk about her appearance with her son in the Toyo production, Roddenberry Archives production of Unification. That one, not the real Unification, but the Roddenberry Archives Unification. And hey, once again, all of our great Patreon folk, thank you all so much. If you're curious, interested, if you want to help boost the Trekland signal, I have a very simple way to do it. $5 a month, $10 a month for our TTLers and our live wires at patreon.com/TreklandLive. That's going to do it. And yes, you can come on and support or bash me on Twitter at Larry Nemechek or Blue Sky. It's Larry Nemechek's Trekland on Facebook and Instagram. And here, YouTube, please like and subscribe if you have not already. Liked the channel here, subscribed. And Portal 47 is your backstage pass to more in-depth Trek all year long. There is no post-con blues because it's like a mini-con all year long with guests that you rarely, the creators of the creators. Again, we're in a renaissance time here of at least for this show. It's Tawny driven, Cirroc supported, and apparently they're gonna be back on the Sci-Fi Sister tonight. I am looking forward to my first sit down with Ms. Newsom. In the current guise here, and hopefully we'll do a long form, good old fashioned archival interview at some point. I'm just so impressed with Tawny, and that started when something that was, well, I guess it was on video live stream. I single-handedly, I'll always remember this, watched her, in my mind, save one of the Star Trek Day live events as a co-host for the whole damn show. I was very impressed with her from then on. I would go over cliff for Tawny now, and they handed the keys to the franchise to her right now. Maybe a little more seasoning, but I would totally be there. That's going to do it for us today, gang. Thank you so much. I've got one more Tuesday live next week. And then we'll be off a week while I'm on the cruise. And then if I've recovered, hopefully I'll be back. So we'll only miss 1 week, I think. So we'll be back here. Same warp time, same warp channel next Tuesday. Appreciate everybody being in there. Like and subscribe us on YouTube especially. Let me know if you're ever in LA and want to do a Trekland Treks tour. Or if you want to spend your week before the Vegas convention, an experience unlike any other and one that we have not provided in 10 years. So how much 60th sauce is out there? Hey, it's another great day. Go enjoy the rest of your Tuesdays. If you're not already there, you're not split screening. And we'll see you later, gang. Please stay healthy, do all the things. Please stay woke, check the sources. And yes, trek well, everybody.